Last December 10th, in a clear vote, MPs demanded to see all of the documents to expose what this government knew about the abuse of Afghan detainees. A full year later, no documents have been released and we're no closer. So today I'm calling on Mr. Ignatieff and Mr. Duceppe to pull their members off the committee and to join with me in calling for an immediate public inquiry. They need to end the charade of their detainee document deal with Mr. Harper, and because it's only keeping records hidden and standing in the way of a public. Mr. Harper's negotiators insisted on several loopholes that let his government hijack the process and exclude vital records. Cabinet documents, legal documents, records at the heart of the investigation. Parties would also have to agree not to discuss anything they saw, not even the delay tactics that they might witness. This final deal wasn't just flawed. This deal ensured that vital documents would stay hidden with the formal blessing of the opposition leaders. A cone of silence was placed.
What we have here was a system that was being set up to allow parliamentarians to see documents. The other parties agreed to a process whereby parliamentarians, even the ones on the committee, would not see full documents. So that's the first step. What's wrong with that process? But the real problem here is that this has taken the whole issue off the public agenda, away from the government, and Canadians are no further 1 year later at the truth. We don't think, in fact, this process was designed to get documents to the Afghanistan committee so they could continue a study. We don't think that this committee is capable of doing the full study in any event. There needs to be a public inquiry, which we called for over a year ago, but this process has sidetracked the whole thing, imposed a code of silence, with the other opposition parties are quite happy to well in, and yet a year ago, I mean, you will all remember, a year ago, the revelations of Mr. Colvin, the knowledge that was there in the government hands, the reports that he had identified as being sent to Ottawa, complaining about torture in these jails, complaining about disappearances of prisoners. All of this was white hot, fully engaged by the Canadian public. We had the Prime Minister once again prorogue Parliament. This committee process sidetracked the whole thing. We want to bring it back to where we were, in the sense that this is a vital matter for the Canadian public to have answers. This cloud over the Canadians' behaviour in dealing with prisoners of war, a matter which is subject to enormous amounts of clear international law that Canada is bound by, and our soldiers and our foreign affairs people are bound by. We think has been violated. It was pretty clear it has been. We need to know the extent of it. We need to know the full story. We need to know whether, in fact, as the government claims, they fixed the problem, and we need to know from some clear independent authority what Canada needs to do if we ever get in this situation again. That's a statement of why we're here today and why we're concerned that this matter. The government's aim here is to keep this quiet and avoid criticism. Frankly, I mean they didn't want any criticism because we were engaged in a war. They didn't want this evidence or this information to raise public opinion against the mission in Afghanistan. That was one of their aims. One of their other aims was just keep a lid on it, frankly. This government and this military has been extremely secretive by comparison to other militaries in the US and the UK and elsewhere. So we need a more open process for starters. But in this particular case, we need to get at the truth. We need the full story, and we need to be sure that Canadians don't have this kind of cloud hanging over them. I mean, we had the International Security Assistance Force, we had human rights commissions, we had other governments questioning Canada's behaviour in terms of the handling of prisoners of war. That's shocking for a country like Canada, who participated in making some of these rules and tried to ensure that that these conventions were upheld. They're part of Canadian law, and we have to obey them when we're engaged internationally. So this is something that is extremely important, but the full story needs to be told. The government doesn't seem to want that out.
If I could just follow up on that, are you concerned that it appears, and there's quite a bit of evidence of this, that the Prime Minister's office was effectively dictating what the position of the Department of Defense, and at that time the Vice Chief of Defense Staff, was saying about what the military knew about what was happening in Afghanistan, and issuing a press release. I'm thinking specifically of the May 2007 press release that was not consistent with the facts that were known in the court case in BC. There seems to be a huge disconnect there between what the DND was releasing and what and apparently as written for them by the Prime Minister's office.
Well, the Prime Minister's office and the Minister of Defence had a very narrow line which they tried to maintain throughout, that we have no credible evidence of any Canadian detainee having been specific Canadian detainee having been abused. That was their line. They kept going on that throughout. That, in fact, was not true. And Walter Nitinchuk, the Chief of Defence Staff, eventually admitted that. And the evidence is very clear that, at least in two cases, they were aware of something had happened. But that narrow question is not really the question that has to be answered, because the obligations of Canada go much farther than that. There's no question of that whatsoever. And Mr. Colvin's startling evidence in the fall of last year let Canadians know that Canada had in fact failed. So this whole process of the last year has actually avoided the questions and put it totally off the agenda. And I guess the expectation must have been that there was going to be an election last year.